Hello, it's Richard here at Spreadsheet Solutions. I often talk to people about dynamic reporting, and I do try and explain what it is, but I very often get this blank expression back at me, people not quite understanding what I'm on about. So I just wanted to show you what I mean by dynamic reporting, and I also want to show you a few key features that I do in spreadsheets. Um, First and foremost, this is a data set. Now, this dynamic reporting can be done as a report, which is what I normally refer to kind of a multiple page portrait layout, PDF friendly reporting, where it's got all sorts of detail. It goes into far more detail with graphs and tables and what have you that you can just simply save as a PDF. Other times, what I refer to as a dashboard is more of a one screen view, high overview, very kind of high level information. So not much detail, just a few clear graphs, maybe a table or two, and that's it. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you this dynamic reporting as a dashboard, but this could be applied to a report as well. So firstly, you've got your data set. All I've got is a date, platform, region, and a value. A value, I put in a value between 100 and £1,000. I've got a few regions listed, some platforms, and 2 years worth of data. Now, as you can see, this is a formulated cell, so this one's locked, and it's actually calculating the priority of each sale. I'm not going to use that in the dynamic dashboard, but I will reference that later on. But two of the columns actually have drop-down lists. So the first feature that I do in vast majority of spreadsheets I have, if there is a drop-down list available, I actually give you that option on another tab. So you can enter the regions and the platforms. If these change in time, you don't have to come back to me to fix it. I'll give you some extra spaces. I've left two extra ones here, but normally I'd leave more. And you can actually come and enter regions and platforms or whatever the drop-down options that you need. If you enter a duplicate, it gives you a little cross. So if we were to put the UK in again, it would give us the two crosses to tell us that we've got a duplicate. But otherwise, you can enter the regions, the platforms, and those will appear in the drop-down lists, and those will appear on the reports in the dashboard. So that's the first element. The second element is if we have, for example, data missing, it says required. It actually tells us there's missing data, and because I've told the spreadsheet that we need that data to be in there. Alternatively, if we actually had the wrong data in there, it says invalid because there is no region called platform 2. So those are presets that I do on the vast majority of spreadsheets that I make. So this once you've got ourselves a nice clean data set, then we can actually go and have a look at the dashboard. So first of all, what I do standard before we get to all this element is the alerts that I put up at the top here. So for example, if we were missing that New Zealand over there, and we went to the dashboard, it says one alert in the data tab. So I can see as an overview that there's data missing or incorrect, and I can make sure that it's filled in correctly. Once those are all okay, I'm now left with this dashboard. Now, this one's quite a colorful one. They're not normally this bright and in your face, but I've done this one like this for a reason, to test it and to show you guys how it works. So all of these options here, the different regions, all represented by that color and on the top, on this top row of graphs, and all your options here, different platforms are represented by those the respective colors along the bottom. So what this does is it gives us the monthly sales per region. It gives us the period sales for the whole year, based on broken down per region, and it gives us a number of sales per region, because sometimes you might have a few sales that tally up to a large chunk of the value, but other times you may have it vice versa. So you want to be able to have a look and see how those two compare. But then you've also got your monthly sales per platform, as well as your period sales per platform and the number of sales per platform. So all these graphs at the moment, because I haven't done selecting of the filters, are showing all that 1 year's worth of data from January to 2025 to December 2025. Now, sometimes I might make the spreadsheet to accommodate 1 year's worth of data, and when it's outside of that, it spits it out and it doesn't use it. That's if you've got a spreadsheet where you're collecting so much data that you actually can't combine years. If we can make the spreadsheet big enough to combine a number of years data, and you want to be able to look back and see previous years, then what I'll do is set this reporting to a 12-month period, which in the settings you can see I've done there. It starts in January 2025. So I've set the 12-month reporting, but it just pulls out the data for that report. I've actually got 2 years worth of data in the data set. So if I were to go here and say, let's see 2024, please, and you go back to dashboard, it readjusts for 2024. Now you're seeing 2024's figures, or else you can go back and you can change it and you can come back to 2025. So that's the first dynamic element, is actually which year do you want to be able to show, so you can see a year at a time. Again, this depends on what your spreadsheet is and what it's designed for, and what's going to work best. You wouldn't necessarily have the same layout or the same graphs, but this is just an example. So now we get to the filter. So this is where a lot of people fall short, because they make graphs like this, but then they'll say, oh, but we also need to see the UK isolated. So they'll make a graph for the UK. And then they go, oh, but hang on, we need to see Ireland isolated. Then they'll make a graph for Ireland. Then they'll go, but hold on, we actually also want to see Europe, which is UK, Ireland, and Europe all together, the whole of Europe. So then someone, they'll make another graph. Then they'll go, oh, but hang on, we want to see North America, which is USA and Canada. So then they end up making graph after graph after graph after graph, one for each individual platform. Then they realize they want to see figures per quarter or per half year or whatever the case might be. Then they think, but hang on, I also want to see products from £100 to £500, not the 600, not the 500 plus. And then they end up having graphs and graphs and graphs, and they scroll through ages and ages of reporting. And then the other problem is when they go and change or add in a new region or a new platform, they then have to go and make all those new graphs and relink everything up, and they get themselves into a corner. So with dynamic reporting, what I've effectively said is, here's your filter. You filter by what you want to see. So if I say, well, okay, I want to see Europe, which is UK, Ireland, and Europe. If I say UK, Ireland, and the rest of Europe, there's the reporting automatically done for those sections. And then I say, but actually, I only want to see platform one and platform two. And I only want to see the range from £100 to £500. And I only want to see the first quarter. So it's the 31st of March. There we go. First quarter. Now, obviously, this one's only going to show the first quarter. It's not going to show the other months. And if we were to say, for example, just platform one, then your bottom graph would just, these two would just be 100%. But here you can still see what are the platforms that one sales, what are platform one, what are platform two, what's the split in sales value, what's the split in the quantity, the number of sales. Here you can have a look at the sales per region, the number of sales per region, and that these values here only include those two platforms and only include the values between 100 and 500. So each of these graphs is dynamic and it adapts to the selections you make, which means you can, I've got 6 graphs showing here, but actually I could see however many different options there are with different filterable options times by those 6. I can see all of that, and I don't have to make a different graph for each one and have an overwhelming report. So you can just sit, you can fiddle with the numbers, you can decide what it is that you want to see, and you can do it. So that's the element of dynamic reporting. As I said, I can do this for dashboards or for reports. The other time that I often use the dynamic element is actually for dynamic lists. Now, what you can do, if you came back to this data and we said, well, I want to see this data list, this data set, but only platform 2 and region. Now, you can go here and you can use these filters to actually do the to filter it and to select only certain ones and to filter this data. The problem comes in when I've got formulated columns like this one. We can't extend those filters across to the formulated because they're locked down, and I don't want people to be able to fiddle with those. The other times I might not even show this column, and maybe hidden behind the scenes somewhere, but I'll have that data available. So what I often do on the filters with the data sets is actually produce this data, but give you the filter down the left-hand side, let you select the filters you want to, as I did on the dashboard. But then on the right here, instead of having graphs, it'll actually just show the relevant data, this data here. And sometimes I'll even do page 1, page 2, page 3. So someone can go, what's page 1? And it shows the first 30 items. What's page 2? Shows the second 30 rows, whatever the case might be. So it's very useful as well to be able to extract data sets and actually show the full data sets, but also reports, graphs, tables, etc., and as I've shown you here in dashboards. And all of this can be very, very compact because we minimal graphs, but it's able to be expanded out in a sense by the use of the filters. So if this sounds like something that you need, and if it sounds like something that's going to benefit your business and help you, they are quite tricky to make. They're far easier to use. So if you need me to make you a spreadsheet like this, do get in touch. Let's have a chat and make you a spreadsheet with some dynamic reporting. Thank you very much.